made it to motor vehicle.
So the case, did you see anything on the case showing is it adjudicated? Because normally it will say, it will show that you were found guilty, fine issued for $175 arbitrarily.
What happened? I received notice from motor vehicle. I don't have a copy with me. I don't recall it, but somewhere, chances are I still have it. But I got warning that if I'm pending.
While it's pending, they're going to send you to motor vehicle.
No, motor vehicle sent me a letter that there is order for suspension of my right to travel. The suspension of my driver's license privileges.
Well, that could have been part of the adjudication.
I got that from motor vehicle. That unless
see, I'm not sure where you are with the court case.
On that day, my license will be suspended, and then that will bring me to additional, whatever, $100 restoration.
Right, and then the next time you get pulled over,
you get arrested, basically.
They will take your vehicle.
Yeah.
The question is how to stop that, and so that's kind of what you guys need to talk about.
You might get arrested too, yeah.
All right.
You accepted the contract, you should have turned it back within 3 days or whatever. So, you got that.
Well, I'm just thinking though, with the court case, they obviously, if you've got a suspension, then they've given you a fine and a license suspension.
Right.
That was your conviction, that was your sentence. So it's gone to motor vehicles. Motor vehicles are now notifying you that
So like,
the license will be suspended or is suspended.
How it make me feel? Like court sitting, judge is sitting, shit, there's nothing I can do about this. Here, you motor vehicle, take care of it. You collect the money. You make the guy pay, because I can't.
Maybe. So the question, Carl, is was the fine, whatever fine that was supposedly due to the court has not been collected yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the judge ordered motor vehicle to take over.
Yeah, it goes on to the debt collection agency, whoever that might be. But in the case of motor vehicles, they know that they can withhold your privileges until you've paid the fine, and you'll never get your license or whatever, even registration.
They won't renew your registration probably.
Right, which is forcing him into Texas plates or some other thing and not having a license, because a driver's license is what?
A privilege.
To do what?
To drive.
To drive, right? Are you driving your car?
Yeah, are you driving your car?
That's the question.
And this is where I can see every judge going, we're not gonna go there, stop that nonsense. Yeah.
Well, you have to become educated to the point where you make the judge surrender. If you aren't ready to do that and go and understand the steps all the way.
Well, this morning I took my automobile for a beautiful ride down an open highway.
Wait a minute, were you over 65? Were you going like
65.
Okay, you got it in 20.
A little more than that.
But you're looking for trouble because these cops.
I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just looking for safe passage.
Okay, I mean I feel like 10 miles an hour, and
to whatever pleases me, and what pleases me, the car doesn't shake anything above 90.
Well, you have to basically travel differently, as not with a driver's license. I mean, do you show them a driver's license, or do you show them like a passport with,
Show who?
If you get stopped.
That's why
if I get stopped, I open my wallet, and they go, okay, who's this? How you know that? And who's this? And
okay, so you have what you.
So I work much harder to create sort of immunity based on the fact of my Troopers triangles, Troopers Association triangles, my plaques and my
Okay.
metal family members.
So why? And you have one of these blue things on your car too, right? Shows you that you're one of the. Is that what it is?
I have a license plate cover that says I'm a member of PVA.
Yeah. Yeah, but some people are some companies say, I don't give a damn to that. It's nice that you do that, but you know, you broke the law. You went above the law, you know.
The code.
You
You
want-
break
you-
the law.
Okay, the code.
The statute. Question the motor vehicle code.
Right. That's what it is.
Just a question for you, Adam. What about taking your personal cards and making them private,
Right.
and then only have your business with the commercial insurance?
That is the case.
The big problem that I see in his case, though, he's driving around, you know, $60,000, $70,000 plus dollar car. You don't really want to get that towed
Yeah.
because they will tow it because it's not registered.
No,
And they will
my
only release
LLC,
it
my
if you come
company
with registration.
has commercial plates and commercial policy, and then different provider for my private personal cars.
Right, but
Motorcycle,
the license is attached to both, correct?
Or driver's license, both are possible based off of that one driver's license.
Right, and the registration, you provided, the personal registration, they connected your license to, correct?
Yeah.
Your driver's license.
Naturally.
Okay, that's the problem, in
Right.
my opinion. Is that correct? You
Well,
guys?
without that license, there would be no
That's
registration
what we're saying, Glenn.
or
is-
insurance, as we
Okay, in
know.
Glenn's private business, my understanding is, he has a private plate and private insurance. The state is not involved in his...
Private insurance as a bond.
Well,
You're
technically, if
technically
your
you're
vehicle's
insured.
not registered, it's not required to be insured.
Correct.
But theoretically, you want to have bond or be
Well,
bonded
it's a good idea.
against claims
It's a good
if you
idea.
cause
That's right.
harm.
So then you get insurance through the insurance company, but you tell them, actually in Texas, you don't have to have driver's license even to get insurance.
So if you...
That's true.
To get insurance for the car,
Yeah, the car's
so
insured,
you
not
can insure the car, but not provide.
And the car doesn't have to be registered either. My car, this car here, I had insurance on it for 9 months, and I had a private Republic of Texas plate on it, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't give the insurance company a driver's license either. Insurance companies in Texas even advertise that you don't need a driver's license to get insurance.
Texas is a different country.
It is.
exactly.
Because in New York,
So the way, so my
Because
plan-
this would not fly in New Jersey or New York.
it
I
will.
had policies. I lived in New York. I live here.
But have you asked?
I mean, I was
I
able to
personally
play a
haven't.
game having my mother living in New York. And every time jury duty came knock on the door, I would show my New York license every time. So then New York would receive order for me to go into court. I would show my Jersey license. And
technically, I think they don't want you to have. In other words, if you have one from New Jersey, they don't want you to get one in Connecticut or New York. I mean, you probably could do it, right?
But
But
it's supposed to have one license.
that's what I'm saying. You're supposed to turn that in and get another. That's so.
it worked for a few
No,
years.
no, I understand that if they
Because I
come in-
made fresh New York license.
Right.
I moved to Jersey.
Okay. No, I understand. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Right. I mean, right. I mean,
The address was still there.
yeah,
New York.
exactly.
Well, one thing I did was I revoked my voter registration, and that stopped all that.
Your voter registration.
I revoked it.
Okay, right. That exactly. That's why they when you go down.
So-
they
so
want to
how are you
register
gonna vote
you
for
vote
Trump?
type of thing.
I'm not.
They don't.
Right. No, I understand that. You do that, you know.
Us
You
also,
have
we
to-
kind
you
of
can't have, you can't,
we
there
kinda
may
need
be a
it.
way to do it, but I'm not, I'd rather just my one vote for my freedom.
Right.
I revoke my, I don't need to be involved in that system.
Exactly. So you basically use the process to revoke it, or you just go down there and.
No, I did it by mail. I called up, they sent me something, I signed it and sent it back, and I'm no longer on the list,
Okay.
period.
Right.
And my plan is to buy a car, get a bill of sale, and put Texas plates on it, private plates.
In Jersey?
Yes.
You're gonna have a lot of explaining.
No.
Well, didn't you say you have to live there for 6 months,
You
though?
don't understand. I am not going to, because I spent a night in jail with the entire police force standing down because of what I've learned here.
Right.
So you just have to get to the point where you realize there is a way. You just have to find it.
Well,
And what some of the things you're doing are giving them the ability to put their claws in.
right,
That's my view.
that's true.
Okay? So, thanks for letting me go through that
But
whole process.
If I thought Glenn said you have to live for 6 months in order to get that in Texas, in order to get,
Well, that's Republic of Texas, yeah.
the Republic of Texas. So you're saying if you go down there,
I don't know. My understanding is I'm a man, right? I have to have, well, I can make up my own plates.
well, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
No, it's
The
not-
private plates, even the Texas plates,
Yeah.
they're not real Texas plates as in the state of, Texas state, isn't it?
No, you stay
The
in Texas.
corporate.
Yeah, the corporate.
Yeah, it's the corporate one.
Right.
So
Nothing to do with them.
So the Republic of Texas blend there.
The made plates, the private,
That's what I mean.
but they just happen to have the fact that they come from the Republic of Texas.
Well, would you have to go
And
to
I-
Texas to get them, or can you?
No, Glenn sells them here,
Let him
or you
say-
can buy them online
so
too.
forgive me, Glenn,
But it's
my-
irrelevant.
Right.
You can put whatever plates on you want. The reason that they're using the Texas plates,
Republic of
forgive me,
Texas.
Republic of Texas.
Right.
Actually, even in state Texas ones as well. But
So-
there's an agreement, isn't there, from all the states with regards to the Texas plates. There's a reciprocal agreement or something.
Yeah, all the states recognize each other's plates, if that's what you're saying.
And there was something else, and I think you'd mentioned it in the past, and I don't remember what
But
it
that's
is.
on a corporate level.
Yeah.
So as long as you haven't registered your current car, if you buy a car used from somebody, and you did not register with the state, you can then take off anything on there. In other words, like in New York, they have a registration sticker and they have an inspection sticker right on the, However, if you have another plate on there,
I think it begins with brand new car, where a dealer is so anxious and they'll do everything
Yeah, but you're talking about
for you
getting
to
MSO.
register the car.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well,
No,
you
no.
have to, what you have to do, if you want the manufacturer's certificate of origin,
Yeah, okay.
you
How do you
basically,
get that?
like in what I do, is I have an Arizona driver's license.
Right.
And so I'll go buy the vehicle in Texas, and I'll show them the Arizona driver's license. And I'll say, I'm taking this thing to Arizona.
Okay.
And they'll say, no problem. And they'll ship the certificate of origin to Arizona, to the address that I have on my driver's
Wait a
license.
minute. You have no problem getting a certificate of origin? They give you a hard time.
It has to be a
Just
new
fine.
vehicle. It has to be a new vehicle.
Has to be a brand new vehicle,
Okay.
and you have to be from out of state.
Okay, because they're going to take that. They figure you're going to take it to get it registered.
But
you're going to
don't
turn it
think
and get a
even
certificate
dealer has
and have the state own the car.
Whatever.
I don't
After you
think
pay for it
even
to have the state own the
dealership
car, right?
Has that.
Because they don't give you the
They can
title.
get them.
They give you a certificate of title.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they come to the dealership unregistered. They're brand new. They're not
But
registered.
technically, you should be able to do that with any state, no?
They're not filed anywhere.
But it's easier in Texas, apparently.
Well, no, you can do it anywhere. You have to take it out of state.
That's what I'm saying.
And in order to take it out of state, you got to show that you live in another state.
Okay.
And that's where the Arizona driver's license comes in useful.
Well, what's to
So in
stop
other
someone
words,
to
I'm
go
going
to
to buy a
Arizona
brand new car
visiting
in Pennsylvania,
and
not in
take their
Jersey.
current license, New York or wherever,
Yeah,
and
but you
get
can do it
you get a
without
UPS store
buying
location
brand new.
to use for the driver's license.
But
That's
now,
It's the
Right, because
intent.
they're asking for the where you live.
that
Well,
car
it's
cannot
not,
be.
they're asking the straw man lives. Well, straw
That
man
car
lives at this
cannot be,
location.
Right.
So,
Right.
so technically, now, and if you have a current valid license in another
Finance.
state, you basically they reciprocate. So you should be able
Yes.
to turn it in
So
and
you'd
basically
buy
pay their whatever,
cash.
and get one, get a picture taken,
Right?
and as long as you have a
And if
location
you
there,
want
right?
to do
In
this,
other
you
words,
don't want to be doing it
okay.
with a 50,
So if someone,
60,
either a friend, a family,
$70,000
or you get a UPS
Well,
store
Theoretically,
place,
it would mean I
you
have
can
to
get
walk
that
in with
loot
a
license.
check
Now you can go to
for the
any other state
asking
basically.
value.
Because I didn't realize you can actually get the MSO that easy.
Full on a spot.
It's only when it's tough is when you're in the same state.
Green,
That's when they,
green.
oh no,
won't do it.
we're gonna register the car for you, we'll take care of all that, we'll get it inspected and so on. Which, but that's when they steal your car, that's when the state now owns the
That's
car.
right, that's right.
They just give
Ah,
you the bill of
okay.
sale plus
Okay.
the...
So it would be worth you to fly to
That's a
Arizona,
copy of
and then travel or
title
fly
of
into,
the
yeah,
car.
the title.
Whatever. I
if you had a
won't-
good deal on
You
it.
want to register.
But you gotta pay cash, you gotta
You
be
gotta
fine.
pay cash
You're
for
not
the
going to
vehicle.
register
Yeah,
it, so-
okay.
And you don't have to.
That's where the,
That's the whole
that's where the
point.
kick, well, what if you,
Process
what,
of
I've also
registration
heard of people
is not mandatory.
in Texas
They'll tell you it is, but it's
paying,
Problem is, most of the time you're going to end up
they
being
agree with the dealer
separated from your car.
to
And
give
the car
them
will be towed away because
uh,
most cops on the
gold or silver
road
coin.
don't know them.
right?
And
Even
the
if you're
equivalent
nice and try
in
to
gold or
present
silver
it.
coin.
and that's
Say-
the reason
say-
why I always
say
say
every
And they
second.
get on the sales tax by
don't
doing
park in
that.
public. Park
Okay.
in public, then
Because
That makes
the
sense.
taxes for using Federal Reserve.
On a road you're in public.
But generally, the taxes only gonna be paid, if you're buying, if you have an Arizona license,
if
and
you're-
you're buying the car in Texas, you're gonna bring it over.
It's when you're in
You're saying
motion.
that, say in New York, they would only give you a paper tag,
Today,
a temporary
these
tag.
cameras,
Yeah,
they
that's what they give you in
scan.
Arizona.
No, but you're going to Texas, so you,
They
Texas
no
gives you
longer
They give you in
have
Texas.
to,
Oh, they
that's
give you
my
paperwork.
knowledge, what
Yeah.
Graham told me.
Because
So
you're taking it to the
They
state.
no longer have to
The part is, you have to go
get
down to
behind
Texas
you
to
and
get those
punch
other
it.
plates, though,
Camera
right? If
sees
you're,
it
or no.
and sends
So what
a
they-
What
flag
other plates?
You have Texas state,
points
Republic-
to something that's attached
The Republic
to
of
that plate.
Texas.
Republic of Texas plates are over
But
there.
if there's nothing
Okay.
coming
My
back
question
to
is
him,
though, will that,
Yeah,
is
I'm
that, do they have any problems on the road? If someone gets stopped, if
so
you
his
have,
camera looking at that plate.
if you show them,
I have had
Comes back with
problems,
nothing.
but now I'm gonna tell them
Then-
about international law and protecting
then
the person
he's
and the
curious.
felonies that they're
What
involved
is
in.
it?
okay.
Yeah, well,
And,
at that point he might pull you over.
I think that those
That's
problems are
when
gonna
you
go
have to
away. I guess we'll see.
Right,
have
you
the
have to do
smarts
it.
to
But my one question
deal
is,
with
to put these on a pre-registered, formally registered, which I buy here, a bill of sale, and if I were to take this plate and put it on there and travel, what responsibility do I have to the Republic of Texas, if any?
No,
Right. That's my point.
Okay.
And I personally believe, yes,
those
you have,
plates aren't issued by the Republic of Texas.
exactly. They just say
They're just
Republic.
privately created.
I had them
Okay.
made up.
Right.
Okay, I see. So you see the one that you,
Sure.
all right, so bottom line, and you could basically, if it's registered, or not registered, if you have the Texas plates, you could buy insurance if you want to protect yourself, liability-wise, right, without having a driver's license
Yeah,
from Texas.
Yeah.
You just pay whatever that fee would be. Well, what's to stop someone from buying a used car?
I'd get it with Progressive.
Okay, is there any reason you can't go to Texas and buy a used car? I mean, you don't want to spend,
I don't have
30
to go to Texas.
You could.
I don't have to go to Texas.
well, that's true,
That's
you don't
true.
have to go to
Once
Texas.
you learn all that, there is
Yeah.
a way,
Right.
Mhm.
but it's like
You got to think outside the box.
No,
you
no,
have to get all the way to the point where the guy pulls you over, a state trooper
Yeah,
pulls us over
uh-huh.
and says something.
Right.
And I'm driving a Bentley with this on it, with no driver's license.
Mhm.
I'm traveling.
Right.
Now we begin. That's my understanding, correct?
Right.
Yeah, then starts the dance with the car.
Then starts the dance. Now, if that law enforcement officer, quote unquote, wants to say, Title 39, we're going to tow the car, at that point, you have to be willing to fire your bullets, which are what? That becomes the question. His paperwork takes you through the steps. And if the trooper wants to call his
Okay,
supervisor,
whose paperwork?
his paperwork,
What
to
paperwork?
read. You can read what happens. Okay, I'm driving a
It
Bentley.
might well be on that, one of the thumb drive.
I'm driving a Bentley with this plate on it, with no driver's license, being born in Poland, with a gold seal on some name, and I'm traveling, and a guy with a gun pulls me over with his red lights.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now what? The next step is reading his paperwork.
So I need the paperwork.
You need to read.
Oh, it's your
Start
paperwork.
Start studying that paper.
Okay.
And the video as well.
And
although
the video.
videos are not complete.
Yeah.
So
So that will give Adam, the man, confidence to come up
Right,
against
the approach and the response.
and to know and to put him, the guy in the uniform, on the defensive. If he wants to go to risk going to jail for 1 year, we can keep going, sir.
Right, so first we have to eliminate
Okay, so-
that acting in what they think is in good faith, right?
correct.
Correct.
Once we remove that acting of good faith, where there's no longer good faith, from
Yeah.
this point,
Exactly.
whatever you do, this can go either way.
Right, because everything
We
you've done
can
up to
shake
this
our
point,
hands, wish ourselves have a nice day.
and everybody that drives by thinks you got a ticket.
Right.
That's all. So that's where, but
Or
Okay.
it's not working, and I'm standing in the back of my car with my hands in the back.
and that's fine, because when they did that to me,
Yeah.
I now have a claim for
Right.
excess of millions of dollars because they didn't listen to me because of what I've learned.
Right.
And of course, best if
Yeah.
this is recorded, which
I'd
the
have-
good thing is at
yeah.
least one side supposed to be now constantly
I
recording.
have my entire. I did record both arrest. I have it. I have the recordings. You have to be prepared, like a Boy Scout.
Right.
Dash cams, front and back.
So,
And
side to
now
side
it's
as
on
well if
record.
want,
You telling.
plus your cell phone.
Now dash cams front and back. Once you close the door to that car,
Look, there's no law against you not having.
You're not supposed to
body-
get out of that car. That's the first thing.
Right.
You
What-
don't get out of that car.
what do they
You stay
demand?
in that
Get out of that car. What do you
Then you tell them, listen, this is my private conveyance, my private vehicle. You are threatening me now with a loaded weapon.
And they have no evidence.
I-
otherwise.
Have reserved my rights and invoked my rights. You are now in breach of those rights. Under colour of law, you are threatening me with a deadly weapon.
Right. Okay.
That's a felony.
And I allege a federal crime.
If you continue, I will exit this vehicle only on the understanding that you are threatening my life or physical harm to me or my property. If I fail to do
like
so,
a broken window.
that's on the That's on the understanding. I am not obeying your commands. I am simply responding to protect myself.
Under threat.
under threat, right.
I'm
So bottom
responding
line,
under
and,
threat.
and if you have that
Under arrest.
recorded because you have a cam thing on your car, whatever.
Yeah, I've
that's-
got my cell phone will be going.
Okay.
The dash cams will be going.
It's a felony to threaten.
Well, it's also he could steal your phone too, right? He could take your phone and say, "Hey, I never took your
Not
phone."
without a goddamn warrant, you can't.
Well, what if he tried to do that? Then he's committing another crime, I guess, right?
And is he going to risk a year in jail because a guy in a car that could safely go 120?
Right. Right.
It's one. I mean, if you're
Okay.
if you're risking somebody else's life, he should
Well,
pull you over.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but if it's 7 in the morning on a Sunday
Yeah.
and you're flying,
Right.
and what'll happen is they'll spread the word. There's a black Bentley with Texas tags with a guy. Don't bother him.
Right.
So once you read and understand, because I'm now, when I first started, I wasn't
Yeah, I'll
prepared.
gladly read. I just don't know where's the access to it.
Well,
No, he has.
Let me ask you though:
I've got
Do you
it
think
some-
you're
I've
more
got it on my
susceptible if
computer
a cop
somewhere,
pulls
so I
up
can
to you?
find it, but
Because they
I'm
do
pretty
that,
sure
and they
it
basically
might
writing
well
in
be on
information
the,
from
Do you
the
have something
plate.
online that
USB.
I could?
And,
No,
No, I don't have a website.
If you have a private plate,
no, but what? No, but he said he'll see that, and he'll say
But I
there's
can dig
nothing
it
for
out
him
for
to.
you.
There's no probable cause that
Oh,
you're.
he has to have a
I don't
reason to
have
stop. In other words, if you're
something
speeding,
right
he
this
could basically
No,
no.
Do you
no.
want to see your face?
He has to see you committing a crime, basically.
Yes,
yeah,
to
a
stop.
crime.
So, but
I
if you're not committing any crime, maybe you're just a little over the speed limit or whatever. He
Yeah.
can't say you got tire lights
He
on or
has no
something, right?
problem. Right, it's none of his
That's
business
not his.
I can
Okay.
give you my
Only if you're like swerving in and out.
because he has no jurisdiction.
Compatible with email.
Right. Okay. So because if you did get stopped,
and you're not
you
far
would
from
show
me
them.
anyway, 'cause you're
What would you
free.
show them? Would you show
You
them?
have to read his
40
paperwork.
minutes.
Okay. And he has it.
Yes,
Is it
read
recorded?
and
Okay.
yes.
I gotta get that from. Okay.
So
One of the things that,
Well,
you see,
isn't
I've
the reason-
approached this as being an ex-cop.
Yeah.
So I look at it from their point of view.
Mhm.
So I try and deal with their assumptions and presumptions,
Yeah.
and their life as a cop is about evidence. So they are attempting to investigate and produce evidence against me,
Right.
and my defense
Prosecute.
is to respond immediately, so that then I remove all of his presumptions and remove the evidence that he's
Trying to collect.
trying to collect against me,
Right.
because he's presuming that he has authority, he's presuming that I've committed an offence, which is why there's a couple of things that I start off with at the beginning of the interaction, which hopefully will stop anything else. If it doesn't and goes further, at that point then I'm handing my document to him, which I tell him to read. And if he's still going to proceed after that point, then I'm saying, well, I'm not dealing with you. Get your supervisor down here,
Right.
somebody who knows the law.
What?
And
Yeah.
by the way, you've read my document. At this point, we're now on the clock. We're probably 10, 15 minutes into the clock at $1,000 a minute. So
Right.
up to you whether you want to continue this,
Right.
because you're just making me rich at this point.
So at this point, you would use this procedure as opposed to someone coming, no contract, I don't answer questions. Would that basically be getting them upset or something?
Yeah, and this is part of the process because I know I've been a cop.
Yeah.
You don't want to piss him off because he's
Yeah.
going to do whatever he can
Right.
because you've just bruised his ego.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
here
you don't want to do that.
Here he has a reasonable to say, hey, this man is not drunk. He's not creating a problem. He may be going to trouble fast, but he's not.
Well, that's part of the issue as well. Driving 120 in a 65
Yeah, I know. That's
is
right. That's what I'm
from
saying.
my point of view of advanced driver training, they call it excessive speed.
Yeah.
It's not. Excessive speed is excessive for the conditions.
Okay.
Right.
So, if you've got 4 feet of snow out there,
Yeah. It's icy.
5 mile an hour might be excessive speed.
Right. I see what you're saying. If it's icy and something, right.
And ice exactly is another prime point. That's
Yeah,
even 10 mile an hour could
Define
be
excessive
excessive.
speed.
Could be excessive speed, right.
Excessive
Well,
speed. The definition of it is
To an
is-
end,
is
if,
going
if
beyond
I'm
the
moving
safe
2
speeds.
miles an hour,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm flying.
Right.
So there is a way. When Carl got done his presentation, which is on Glenn's site, when he got done, I'm like, I can see how I could travel with a private tag in a car that's been registered before in the communist state of New Jersey.
Right.
And still, if they bother me, they're in trouble, not me.
Right.
Even holding a commercial driver's license, because you have a commercial driver's license, right?
Well, any driver's license is commercial.
Yes,
Exactly
but
what
the thing is, it's for the
exactly.
usage.
Yes.
Right.
This whole point is
I mean,
that
that
it's the
allows
usage.
me
The
Right.
fact that you
to,
have a license is irrelevant.
to
Right.
transport
That makes sense.
material. Or,
If it's for private.
basically even people, because in New York I had to go for a class which doesn't exist in Jersey.
Yeah.
But I think it's still shown that I have class
Chauffeur's
E,
license. Yeah.
a chauffeur license,
But see, it's if
which allows me to do
Right.
livery. In
if
other
you're
words,
collecting money, right? If you're transporting
see,
people,
in New Jersey that's not required.
yeah.
Your D gives you opportunity to work as an Uber driver.
Right.
See, in New York you couldn't do that. Or maybe Uber is on
They can.
private plates, and I had TLC. That applies to TLC, livery, or taxi.
Yeah.
Where you needed Class E, which was additional course.
Right, but that's
Since
only
you-
when you're actually engaged in that.
Yeah.
in commerce, when you're dealing in commerce, right?
So these guys ask, is there any evidence
Mhm.
that
Involved.
I am transporting goods or passengers for hire? And you have to assume that the cop doesn't know any of this.
For most.
So they're not going to put the clamps on you or your car until they feel they've got their bases covered.
Right.
If you keep making them feel like their bases are not covered, and it doesn't take more than a minute or two till he decides to either call the supervisor or wish you a good
Have a
day.
nice day, sir. Drive carefully.
So, anyway.
Let me ask you, is there a reason, I know that obviously Texas is separate as a republic, but the plates, my question is, if there were republics set up in other, New York Republic or New Jersey?
You don't need it, you can put private
Well,
plates.
Texas is still a state.
Well, right, but are you more or less likely to get stopped by someone if you have...
I think having a professionally prepared plate
Right.
notices the law enforcement officer that he's dealing with a real man.
Okay.
Because you're educated and you're prepared to deal with him.
Right, it's not a piece of paper on a window, not for hire.
Exactly. Right.
And you're covering your bases then, because if you in fact did get in an accident, and when you caused the accident or whatever, and if you did have coverage, if you had... but then again, if you have insurance, does that not bring you... I know if you're a
I
U.S.
guess at the
citizen,
end
not
of the
if
day,
you're...
What matters is,
If you're
do
a
you
real
want to
man on
go
the land,
through
can you still
get
have
leave of
insurance?
dealing with
The car
it
is
sometimes
insured.
for days
Okay,
or
but-
weeks because
okay, but the
if
car is under
you're
your name,
arrested
though,
or
right?
your car
No.
is
The
impounded.
no,
Right,
the car is insured.
right.
Okay,
You'd
but-
have to ask Glenn that question.
Okay.
I don't know.
They
Okay,
might
let's
still
ask
not
him.
release the car unless you bring a proof or something, or bring a tow truck.
Well, one thing for sure, you know, if it's an expensive car, they're gonna really be thinking twice about whether they're gonna tow it or not, because there's liability issues.
Yeah.
And people that have expensive cars usually have a lot of money to spend on lawyers and things like that. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, they're gonna be, I would say that, especially like a really expensive car, I doubt that they'd really be thinking twice about whether they wanna tow it or not.
They have to justify their actions.
Of course they do.
And they gotta protect it where it
It's
goes.
one thing
Yeah.
to go up to some guy that's got this old beater that's, you know, falling apart and
Right.
steal his car on him.
Yep.
But it's completely different to be towing some Lamborghini or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if the guy driving the Lamborghini's doing 100 miles an hour.
Especially when he knows how to defend himself as you have prepared.
Yeah, well, that's it.
There
It's
may
a
be
preparation.
2 companies in New Jersey that could tow a Lamborghini.
Right.
That's it, just two?
And they're going to want to get
If
paid.
we're lucky.
Wow.
So when that cop has to tell the comptroller of the
Because
city...
that
or the-
4 inches of the ground, I don't care how he stretches that platform, the angle,
Yeah.
you're killing front bumper,
Right.
and you're scraping rear.
Well, then you
And-
have
and
recourse.
those bumpers alone are anywhere between $12,000 and $15,000
Wow.
each.
So there you go.
That's before you.
Now
go
they have
for
another
carbon
problem.
fiber.
They have a problem there. They have a problem.
Right.
So it pays to have a nice fancy car then.
Sometimes.
Well,
but
it's-
anything that you do in here, you basically have to look at it from the point of view that you don't do anything that you're not willing to lose.
Right. So bottom line is,
You know,
yeah,
and that includes your life,
yeah.
really.
Well,
It's
it's live
freedom
for your
worth your
die.
life.
It's live for your die. You know?
Well, that's New Hampshire there, right?
But you have to, you know, they're a bunch. That's why I say they're thieves and pirates.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
definitely.
This
So-
stuff is not something that, I mean, this is what, 3 years now, Nelson, that you've kind of been studying from when I did the first,
Not
even
quite.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years then, say.
And
You know, and he's still not done it yet. So
I'm
he's
still
getting
not-
more and more
I
confident
have not
about it.
done it.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying, I'm thinking Nelson is more than capable of
Oh yeah.
standing
Oh
his
yeah.
ground and asserting.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But he has to be in a position where he feels comfortable about doing
yeah,
it too.
and it wasn't until the actual cuffs went on me that all the training kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
That I began telling them, and I had taken the actions of proving to myself they were the ones committing crimes, not me.
Well, at that moment is usually when they talk about your metal being tested. It's either the training kicks in,
Right.
or your bottle
Right, and I don't
goes
go
out.
looking for trouble. I wasn't looking for trouble.
Right.
And if, you know, and the day will come where, yes, I feel confident that I'm willing to risk a $50,000, $80,000 car or more based on my confidence level.
Now, I think we all need to realize that the rights that we have right now are because of people like Nelson
standing up.
has stood up to him.
Right.
That's right. All of our rights.
Yeah.
You said riots.
No, I said our rights.
Right. R-I-G-H-T.
Our rights.
Rights. Yes. Right.
I mean, you know, so there's all of our rights. Our right to do anything is because people stood up to him and said no.
Yeah.
And as of a month ago, the local church called the cops again on me while I was standing outside, and he said, the police do not want to violate his rights, meaning me. Because they've already done it, and they're
Yeah.
already going to be having to defend a felony charge for doing it.
Right.
So you have to kind of get to the point where their nose has been bloodied,
Right.
and because the police and even the police chief still don't understand, I went to city council to explain to them that I would like the police chief to lose his job the next time I'm arrested.
Right.
And they didn't want to make a decision. I had to go back again, asking and ordering the city council to order the city solicitor to get a legal opinion from the state attorney general, who is my free defense from them, all these
Right.
authorities.
Authorities.
The state attorney general
Yeah.
is the one man in the state whose duty,
Would that be Greenwald?
whatever his name is, yes.
We're talking about one and the same.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the man holding the office of the military government, the military power, the martial law, who is ordered in a mixed war under Lieber Code to protect me and a peaceable man. And I'm now waiting for his answer. And I said on the record, because every city council
Records.
is on the record. The minute they hit the gavel, everything that happens and they record it. All of my antics and comments are on the record.
Glenn,
So I'm
can
trying.
you do a search on that for notice to law enforcement? That would have been my notice header. That's my document, basically.
Okay.
So for fun, one could go to your local city council or county commissioner meeting and get on the record. I just sent a letter to the director of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, the head guy, to file felony charges against the county solicitor, who has no oath.
And by county solicitor, who do you have in mind?
My county solicitor. Because
Who is solicitor?
he's the attorney for the county.
Solicitor, it's just another name for the lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the lawyer hired by the board of elected. The people here, not me, the people elected a militarized freeholder government.
And it should be notice to law enforcement, I think it is.
He's probably an attorney. He may be a lawyer, but he's probably an attorney. Most of them are.
He's an attorney at law, and
Yeah.
according to the statutes
Or an agent.
of this militarized government, every attorney at law, solicitor, counselor, shall have a written, subscribed oath of office and allegiance under the authority of the people. That solicitor, I found out, does not have one, just like there were 65 public servants of Ocean City who did not have the proper oath, which is a felony. Any act they commit absent authority is a felony.
Well,
They didn't realize they were committing felonies. So when I was arrested the second time and put in jail, the captain learned he had just committed a felony. I tried to tell him. He didn't think he had a problem. So if I were if I were traveling in a car with private plates, I would advise the man in the officer's uniform, are you prepared to stand?
And consequences.
Right. I would just ask him a question, man to man.
Yeah.
Now, 2 years ago, I would be scared to lose my car, lose my freedom, lose my life. Now, because I've gone through the steps, I'm prepared to put them on the defensive and gather evidence against them, because Glenn has taught me that we're under martial law, and what rules they have to abide by when they come across a man, as opposed to a
fiction.
person who doesn't understand who he is and what the rights are that he possesses. And when those rights are trespassed upon, what the process is to collect, which I'm in the process of doing. And one of the reasons I want the State Attorney General to tell the solicitor, to tell the mayor, and tell the city council, which by extension is the person who hired, the body that hired the police chief, they're going to get the bad news from the State Attorney General, whose duty is to the king, which is the sovereignty of the people. And most of us never know, we don't know all that. So it took me years to get to the point where I understand the mechanisms.
I still feel like Grewal is protecting Murphy all along the way.
Yes, but he has the duty to protect Murphy because he works for the territorial government. But when that territorial government is committing a crime against one of the occupied, they're an occupying force.
Yeah. One of the people. Yeah.
No, they are an occupying.
No, when they commit a crime against one of the people.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there aren't many people around.
Right.
So that's why they don't run into it.
Yeah.
But now, as far as the local police of Ocean City go, every one of them basically has a smile for me because they're not touching me.
Because they've been notified.
Yes. And on top of that, because they continue to act in an official capacity in violation of my inherent rights as a capital C citizen of one of the several states, they have now become liable for damages of trespass.
Right.
And it just so happened that it had nothing to do with me traveling in a car. But I'm getting to the point where I'm preparing to take a currently registered vehicle, take it off, buy it from someone, put private plates on, and travel with no license.
Going by a private bill of sale.
Yes. And I will have Carl's paperwork on me. And of course, I've learned steps. Because the day will come where I'm going to have to go ahead and defend my liberty, my right to travel. And every man has to be self-governing. And the State Attorney General has an obligation and a duty, according to an appellate court, which says that he has a duty to the democratic form of government, which is now the sovereignty of the people. It's no longer the king and the state. Now, when he works for Murphy and works for the state police and works for the city of Ocean City or the county of Ocean, he has a duty. He doesn't not have a duty to them, but when a man on the land shows up, he now has to tell his employers
Do not breach.
that they no longer have, provided I didn't commit a crime
Right.
or a trespass on someone. And breaking a code of a speed limit is not a trespass. There's no man that I've harmed. Not that I would do that in the current car I'm playing. But if I did have your vehicle, I'd have no problem at all.
Right.
But I'd have to be willing to go through the process of being on the side of the road. And most likely they will just...
Look, don't get me the wrong way. My normal moving along the day, it's for most part going with the flow.
Go with the flow, right?
Right. No, I
Go with
understand.
the flow, maybe 5-10 miles about
But see,
the
when-
flow.
Right.
Yeah, that's what.
Not necessarily
Right.
the
And and
posted
so,
sign.
you know, and at some point...
Say, most people do, they like today, everybody's doing 85. Do I have to go 120? No. I'm perfectly comfortable with that 85, 90.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's a good
I
speed.
don't really stand out. I'm not looking to stand
I
out.
understand.
Well, you do stand out.
Come on. Well,
So, and all of that, all that's...
if there's a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right. Right. You don't want to be reckless. You don't want to be a reckless.
I don't want to be reckless,
Probably right.
careless.
Right. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Glenn? Glenn?
Hello.
Glenn?
Hello.
That's what.
Sorry.
Come back.
I sent you I found it on my phone, so I emailed it to you, Engineer Wynn.
Okay,
By the way, when you
Thanks for...
yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. It was very. Most of the things that are being answered, these questions are very important, I think. And if you do go to buy a car, would you recommend something you're going to talk about soon, having it not in your name as a put it into something else, an entity?
No, it should be your name. You should be.
It's your
the-
property, it's your
the-
private
the
property.
shoes
So
owner.
it should be shown in your name, basically. Okay. And then
Shown
if you,
where?
Well, bill of
And
sale.
Shown on the bill of
And if
sale
you
or
ask for-
anywhere else.
if you're asked for some kind of identification, for whatever reason, you could have a passport.
What you need to get is a private identification, such as the one that Glenn showed
Okay.
from Catman or from NSEA.
right.
Are they still doing it?
And-
Still doing it?
NSCA, well, Tom, it was Sandy,
Yeah, I know.
who
Sandra
was
was
Tom's
doing it, yeah.
girlfriend, and she was the one that was doing the NSCA ID, and they had a falling out,
Yeah,
and but she's still doing it.
okay.
So you contact her privately. I can give you her email.
I have it. I've been in touch with her in
Okay.
the past. So
Yeah.
I haven't just sent off. Because at the time I was trying to sort out virtual address. I didn't want to be...
Right.
I didn't want it for a New Jersey address. I wanted it for somewhere else where I was moving to.
Sure.
And now I've got the virtual address, so it helps. So anyway, I was going to go through that process.
So she still does it. She's very good at that.
Yeah.
Is there any
But anyway, that's what I would suggest you do. You get your own
private
My ID.
Okay. Is there any problem in someone who lives in this area or New York, wherever, to actually have the Texas tags, Republic Texas tags? Is that in any way? Can they say, well, what do you do? When are you down there? What do you? Is there any issue
None
with
of
that
their
at all?
business.
Okay. So in other words, but other than the fact that you don't necessarily have to own a house there, right? you have to
You
basically
just have to be able to defend it, that's all.
So in other
I mean,
words,
you
if
gotta be prepared to defend it.
So if you have an address there,
Doesn't matter.
well, you should have an address there, I don't. No?
It's not necessary.
Under chapter.
It's only what evidence you give against yourself.
Well, what are you going to put up? What kind of an ID? What kind of an ID would you use if you have a Texas tag on your car? And you get what ID would you show them in the event? Would you? I mean, a private would you have it from Texas?
They have no right to ask me for ID.
Or trial.
Okay, but I'm saying if you
Yes,
did
so
have an
What are
ID.
you going to do? Put me on the ground to get my ID?
No, no, but I'm saying is
Because
okay.
I've told you
Right,
that
so
you have no,
which one are you?
touching me or dealing with me is a felony.
My number would be
Like, you have to get to
Okay,
that point.
I understand. So
You
what you?
keep thinking,
Okay,
you have to
Alright.
get that out of your brain.
okay. So bottom line, it's not an issue. You could have a local or whatever in the
So how
event
do
some
we
you
find
need.
it?
Why? Because the full faith and credit clause of the Constitution says what? The full faith and credit clause. It says that all the states will honor each other.
Okay, I understand. So you do have, if you, whatever, you have something that you had made similar to what he had, but it's not from Texas, it's from New York or another, from somewhere else.
I actually like the idea of, just like Carl uses Ontario
Right.
plates that aren't in their jurisdiction.
So bottom line, you should, if you're going to get an ID, then get it from Texas. You're going to have a tag from there, no?
I would,
Okay, which would make sense.
and I will.
So you have to physically go there. to
Could
do
I
that?
see, may I see your 5-star ID again?
Oh yeah.
Is
But
that
you have to physically go there to get that, or can you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
That was the born Polish name, or is it? Oh, okay. I would expect it some.
Oh, no, my mother didn't have to think twice what to
If
name.
you are not
Okay.
in
Born on
Texas, or
Christmas Eve.
can you get one of those IDs that you have
Yeah.
if you have an address
So,
in,
do you want last
or,
name or does it?
or you have to live there basically to get
Yeah,
that?
you can.
For the Republic of
Feminist
Texas
name
ID?
there.
Yes.
ERG.
Yeah, you'd have to be in Texas.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they have.
You have to physically be there.
Huh?
917.
You have to physically live in Texas.
Right, yeah.
Or
For
at
the
least-
Republic of Texas ID, they wouldn't let you have one
38
otherwise.
lines here.
So what other ID if you did use a tag there and you wanted to have something, you'd
Well,
have-
I would get a private mailbox there,
Right.
and then get Sandy to make you up an ID
Who's Sandy?
with NSEA.
Who's saying,
She's used to be with NSEA.
But if it's not too much trouble,
She was-
would you?
We were
email
talking
me
about her
that
here a
as
minute
well?
ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send you that.
NSEA, that
She
sounds
makes up these IDs.
NSEA, that sounds familiar. That sounds like
She makes up these.
okay.
I find those IDs
Oh, okay.
look a lot more professional than Catman's.
Right.
But if you are an American national in New York,
It's Adam.
is there anything wrong
She
with?
would put
Oh, you want
New York
email or
address
you
on
want
there, no
NSEA?
problem.
No, but I'm saying
Send
is,
it through the WhatsApp.
I've got one of those for Texas, and I got one of those for Arizona.
but I'm saying is it. Do you see if it would be better to have it in Texas if you had Texas tags, even though, or no? Which shouldn't make a difference.
Again, it's what you're prepared to tell a cop, because
Okay.
there's gonna be questions.
Right, I understand.
So you just, what you're
Or you have
prepared to
to
tell a
back.
cop.
All right. Okay.
thanks.
Number
I just want
four.
to look at it in the light.
I'm sure. Okay, so that's a nice idea.
Otherwise,
That's fairly- Okay.
This,
So you just send them a photo, basically. You send them a photo then.
yeah, I emailed it to her, actually.
Okay. And, oh, no, okay, wait a minute, you have, oh, you use your Arizona address, okay. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's one for Arizona. I've got another one for Texas.
Oh, that's
You
right.
have
So you
two
can,
of these?
So you can make it, she'll pay it, it's just pay
She'll
whatever.
make it up for wherever.
Sure.
Thank you.
Right.
That one's for Arizona,
All right.
but she'll make it up for Texas
Should be
too.
on
Right,
its way
right.
to you.
Okay. Well, I'm an American national, so I,
There you go.
I can use the one I have for New York, and then if I get mailing, location down there.
Well, my understanding is when you hand a cop, even going 120, and hand them this,
Yeah.
even in a registered car,
You're
Right.
going to jail.
no. No.
You got
$5.
Oh, he's got
Now you-
it's passport.
you know, 'cause
ID,
you know-
not driver's
See-
license.
Because of the people who fought in the war for this land, it's different than people who come to this land that don't have. Now, you might have the ability with your whole Polish army and all that. I'd love to see that happen because that'll open up some interesting.
Rooms.
But for now, in his case, and the day will come where I have that because of all the work I just haven't applied for it. At that point, you hand the officer, who's a federal officer under the Department of State, under this whole fictitious world,
Right.
and because this is claiming he, the body, the man, has these unalienable rights. It's different, in my opinion, than the corporate constitution that all the U.S. citizens are claiming their rights under with the whole 14th Amendment thing. It's different. Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
You know what I
You
would
know
do
that
if I
for a
was
fact,
you?
though? 'Cause I-
Hold on, let him speak.
Okay.
What I would do if I was you is I would get a Polish driver's license from Poland
Come on.
and
Excellent.
get an international driver's license,
I used to have that.
and then I would have the car owned.
But today I don't have how to get it.
Go to Poland. I mean, you're from there. Go there
Yeah,
Have a
you to
mailing
get the
address.
Right.
You need a mailing address.
and get a Polish address. Get a Polish driver's license, and then once you have that Polish driver's license, you get an international driver's license, and then you have a car owned by a trust called ABC Leasing, okay, which is kind of sounds like a rental car company, and you're driving that car, and you say, "Hi, I'm here on vacation," and how are you doing? I guarantee you, they'll never give you a ticket.
And using, wait a minute, the tags
If
you would
that
have.
car is being towed away, who's the owner that can claim it back out?
It'll be the trust.
Well, someone has
the
to
representative of the
physically.
trust.
Representing the trust.
It's again and that's where you could show you're the managing director of the trust,
Right.
And so then you could sign and in the trustee document.
I don't know how that system works.
So-
And what's the
Yeah.
contract, if they tow the car, what's your contract with them at that moment? What have you established?
Quite frankly, I can tell you for sure because for many years I had Ontario plates on my car. Okay, I lived here and I had Ontario plates, and they never messed with me. Okay, if you're foreign, I even talk about it. I've got a letter from the Georgia Department of Driver Services. Okay, from the chief counsel from the Georgia Department of Driver Services. And it says in there, I talk about it in my videos, it says in there that they only have authority for U.S. citizens and green card holders. If you're from Poland and you're here driving...
Anyone else is considered being here illegally.
No, actually no.
They're just classed as foreign nationals.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that makes sense.
That's right.
So would you have the trust, in other words, you'd have in other words, not having your name, you put the car in, well, the same thing here then, right? If you are from, if
That's
you're
what I would do.
Yeah.
Is I'd put it under a trust,
Yeah.
and a trust like ABC Leasing sounds like a leasing company. You know, the cops don't know the names of all the car rental companies and stuff.
Right.
And you say, I'm just here on vacation. You don't tell them anything about. You show them the Polish driver's license and the international driver's card
Right.
for the international.
no jurisdiction.
And,
They don't have
and
jurisdiction.
they don't
No
have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
All
Right.
about- Don't you have a video, the seven
But
elements?
that's-
And then
That's
on top
what-
of that,
Hold
you,
on, hold
you have
on.
the Polish
That's while
accent.
Hold on.
Right, that's true.
Hold on. That's while being in a car that's registered
No.
Yeah, it'd be registered.
and insured.
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
Just
Oh,
like
okay.
any
So
other
I'm being asked, first thing is
Yeah.
registration and insurance.
Well, you show them the registration insurance. It's got registration insurance.
Yeah.
It's owned by a trust.
Yeah.
And that's all it says.
Right.
You tend not to ask for insurance anymore because it's on the computer system if it's insured.
What's the registration?
They want the registration and license.
It'll
That's
be
what they
reg-
usually
it'll
ask
local-
for.
It'll
Say
be
they ask for
registered under a
registration.
trust.
Right.
What name is listed on that registration at that moment?
ABC Leasing.
ABC Leasing, yeah.
It's like,
You have to change the registration from
Right.
the current name.
So
To-
I'm
You
You sell it to
so
the
I'm
sell
going to
right.
motor vehicle
Oh, yeah.
and I am
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have to fill something.
Uh-huh. They're gonna wanna know, I can tell you
Some
right
kind of
now.
form.
Well, we can talk, do we wanna talk about trust now, or are we done talking about this? This administrative procedure?
Well, you
This,
pretty much,
this last form here, by the way, this, on all of that stuff that I did, one of the people that I served was the Attorney General for Texas. That's Ken Paxton. Okay?
okay.
And this is his affidavit of truth. Anyways, if we're done talking about that,
Did he resign?
Now, to how many people?
no, he's still there.
Okay.
To how many people have you served that 5 times over?
Well, let's look.
Only the people who harmed you that were involved.
Well, I served it on, let's look.
And the idea, Adam, is not to help them not
No.
commit a crime against you. Like, make them choose to go forward. And the
Okay, for Kerr County, A. William Arnold was an attorney. Bruce Curry was the Kerr County. Well, let's look. He's the district attorney, okay, in Kerrville. He was the district attorney in Kerrville. That's Bruce Curry. Carol Twist was Jeff McCoy's boss. Christopher Kirk was the Brazos County Sheriff. Eric Buskey was another Chief of Police. City of Bryan Chief of Police. I mean, I invite everybody and their brother.
Forgive me, what did they do to you, Glenn?
Well, again, what happened is they came and raided this
Oh,
place.
yeah, okay, I got it.
Right?
It's been, yeah, I got
Well,
it.
the Brazos County
I got it.
Police were there. The Bryan City of Bryan Police there. The Brazos
Republican
County
Texas.
Sheriff was there. The U.S. Marshals were there. The FBI was there. And so I invited them all.
How many bodies were put under arrest?
We all walked away. It was a search warrant.
So you're just,
So
you
you-
trespassed on.
Gregory Lucas
That had
was
something
a
to do with
captain.
conspiracy to.
Gregory
No.
Lucas was a captain for the Texas Attorney General's office. And then there's Jeff McCoy.
2 people that were.
How did you
supposedly
gather all their
activated
names
that they were searching
and
for.
titles?
It was,
Rex Emerson was a judge that was involved. N. Keith Williams was a judge. Sean Davis
It was a legal process.
is a Bryan police detective.
How'd you get all the names of the people that were there?
I don't know. I slipped a couple times. It's been 5 years.
So,
William Heerholzer was the Kerr County Sheriff.
so they came in on the commercial aspect of the foreclosure under that was the cover they used. The commercial warrant on those 2 people.
Well, it's always commercial.
And you said they were who? Sheriffs and FBI? And
There was, yeah.
that's a lot of agencies for.
Well, you got to understand that in the USA, okay, like right here, okay, we're in Ocean City, okay? Now, technically, Ocean City is commercial.
It's a corporation.
It's a corporation, that's right.
Privately
So the
held.
So
Yeah.
technically, I was visited by the FBI, okay, in Texas. And when the FBI came to see me, you know what they did? Is they had the Cook County Sheriff bring them out there. And so I visited, I was in my RV, I got this knock on my door, and there was 2 FBI agents. They said, we'd like to talk to you. And I'd never invite them into my travel trailer. I stepped out, and we talked.
Nice.
Anyways, there was a Cook County Sheriff there that brought them there. So, and the Cook County seat was 30 miles down the road, and they were from Dallas, which is about 100 miles the other direction. And so they had driven all the way to Cook County to get the Cook County Sheriff to bring them out to see me. And they did it 100% proper. That was the proper way of doing it.
Right.
Because the Cook County Sheriff is the only guy that had authority over a man.
Right.
And so that's the proper way of doing it.
Yes.
So if anything was going to happen with Nelson here, technically it would, what's the county? This is Cape May County?
Yes.
Be the Cape May County Sheriff. But a lot of times they defer to the city police.
They do.
But if there was anything federal, then it would be, like, for example, maybe the FBI, or it would probably be the FBI. If it was federal, anything federal, like, say, IRS or something, okay, and they came here, it would be, the sheriff would be here, guaranteed. And that's why you serve the county sheriff with a notice and demand, and say, I accept your oath of office, and it's your job to protect me from foreign agents like the FBI and the CIA and the U.S. Marshals and all those guys, because they have to get his permission to come here.
Right.
And if he says, no, you're not talking to him, then they're not talking to him.
Right.
So the county sheriff is always the guy that you serve a notice on, saying, I accept your oath of office, and I require you.
And who do I serve it to?
The county sheriff.
Which sheriff?
Which
There's only
county
one.
are you in?
There's only one sheriff.
Yeah.
There's only one sheriff.
Exactly.
Ocean County.
He's the head dog.
He's elected every 5 years.
That's right.
Or 3 years.
Ocean County. Then you go to the Ocean County website.
And may I share, while he's finding that, I was at my church. 5 police officers were blocking my entrance to my church. Armed.
Why would they be blocking your entrance to a church?
Especially the
It's a bit of a
church.
long story.
It's a long story.
Okay.
But so what I did was
Right
I
here.
called 911.
This is the Ocean County Sheriff's Office.
He's on
Right.
Right there. So then it's easy to find Sheriff Michael G.
my guy's
Mastronardi.
Robert A. Nolan, yes.
And there's the sheriff.
Chances I wrote something to him.
And you can see you're under Admiralty there, right? Maritime law.
Yes,
Well,
but
that's
he has
military
two-
uniforms.
He has 2 offices. He has an office that's the same as the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Nobody can do anything to you except they go through him. And he can say, nope, you're not talking to him. He's under my protection. And that's the end of it. There's no more discussion.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if you have that notice on you. So 2 weeks before this, I knew it was going to happen.
Okay, who has a form or example of that notice? Of acceptance?
It's in your files.
It's in your file.
But if you want the latest one, if you want
answer's
the
always
latest
it's in
one,
your file.
if you want the latest one, send me an email.
Send me
I'll
an
send you the latest one.
The best
I mean,
stuff-
I modify them from time to time, and you have to understand that you may not want to say all the things I say, and so you cut out the stuff that you don't necessarily want to say.
You have your ways of
Right?
pissing some people off.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure.
We have our base.
He likes to fight. So just quickly, what happened was...
Like Horrors of Babylon. And
but the county sheriff is the guy. They all have to go through him. And if he says no, then it's no, and there's no more discussion.
So when
Matter of fact,
Right.
there was Catron County, New Mexico. There's a story. Catron County, New Mexico, they had problems with the U.S. Forest Service. Catron County, New Mexico is a huge county in New Mexico, and it's got a population of 3,000 people. That's it. And they're all over the place. It's a rural county. There's like about 2 towns. Camaro, which has a population of maybe 700, and the county seat is called Reserve, and it might have a population of 700 or 1,000 people. Okay, and the rest of them are all farmers, and they're all okay. So it's mostly mountainous. The U.S. Forest Service basically runs all the forests and everything like that. And they were having problems with federal government coming in there and telling people what to do, and they were getting upset about it. So they had a meeting with the county commissioners, and they adopted the Constitution as an ordinance. And then they called in the U.S. Forest Service, and they told them, you're not doing anything in our county anymore until we give you permission. We want you to come and ask us for permission. And they said, no, you can't do that. And they said, that's okay. County Sheriff, I want you to arrest them. And all of a sudden they said, okay, no problem. Whatever you want. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because the feds were overstepping their bounds.
They were,
constantly.
absolutely. And they always did.
Tyranny.
Yep.
That's right.
Tyranny, exactly.
And so
Under color
the
of
county
law.
sheriff is the guy that runs the show.
Right. Right.
So in my case, there were 5 police officers there, municipally empowered, which I knew they didn't have the proper oath at the time. And I had just gone to city council to advise city council that they don't have the proper oath, no police officer. But they were obeying their chief. They were standing there, and while I was waiting to go in, I called 911. I got the local Ocean City 911. I said, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the county sheriff. 2 weeks before, I had sent an email to the county sheriff saying this was going to happen, and I expected him to send a deputy to protect me, to help me go into my congregation.
Mm-hmm.
They patched me through to 911, to the sheriff's office.
Okay.
The sheriff answered the phone, the deputy, whoever. I explained to them what was happening, and I demanded they send out a deputy sheriff, and I referenced my email to they didn't send anyone because they deferred to the municipality.
Right, they do that sometimes.
That's because the sheriff, he doesn't know what's going on because they're not educated.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and allowed them, the police, to prevent me from entering, and I didn't want to get arrested again at the time. So then following night, it happened that there was another city council meeting. And when I went to them and told them, 5 police officers, I told the council, 5 police officers prevented me from entering my church. They were dumbfounded, wondering what is going on. And it's a matter of exercising one's rights.
How did that help your situation? How did it?
It helped my situation because then 2 months later I had told the city council 2 more times that nobody has the proper oath, including you guys. And they thought I was bizarre because they remembered signing an oath. The problem is it was the wrong oath. So once I was arrested and put in jail, the city solicitor visited me the very next day. 65 to 70 people began signing the proper oath in my city. And they all know I was the reason they were ordered to go in there and do it. Go ahead.
Okay. Would that include chief or captain of PD, local
Yes.
PD?
Yes.
All of them. Everybody who's
Mayor?
supposedly taken an oath, and it's the wrong oath, should
Now-
be called back in to retake the correct oath.
Now I've seen in Ocean County, the prosecutor...
So that was your reference to yesterday seeing cabs by Wawa and they smiling, wishing you
inside
have
he
a
says
nice day?
hello. Yes. Because they know
I
I'm the
got-
king.
I got it now.
I'm the king. And I have
I got
public
it now.
servants. And I'm not against, they're my friends until they become my enemy.
Right.
And I'm their friend. I'm not their enemy. I'm a peaceable man on the land.
Right. They don't want that.
And they're getting paid through martial law rule
Mhm.
to keep the peace.
Right.
And they are under international law not to commit felonies against a peaceable man under color of law with a gun,
Right.
using their color of law badge,
Mm-hmm.
being ordered by a chief of police to harm me.
Yeah.
But until you go through all that, they'll keep assaulting.
They keep assaulting you,
They'll
exactly.
keep assaulting.
Right.
And if you open up, and so the question, I actually would prefer not to have a registration from New Jersey. I'd rather have private plates, because that only makes my case even stronger.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you like the fact whether the private plates are, does it make a difference whether the private plates are from New Hampshire, Maine?
No,
New Jersey?
I
Or-
may,
The private plates
You
are
make your
private.
own.
They're
Okay.
not from anywhere.
They,
Okay.
no,
They're
it
not-
doesn't
What I'm
identify
saying
a
is with-
state.
Who's the authority that issued the plates?
Well,
Who? Answer the question.
you make.
Exactly. Me, the king.
Yeah.
I issued my
That's
own
right.
plates.
Okay.
That's right.
So, but I mean, there's a reason. What I'm saying is, you chose Texas as opposed to somewhere else. Is it because they're a republic?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure that they'll
Yeah,
offer
I'd like
that.
to see that notice.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But it's less of a reason probably because
My
someone
current
is
one
saying
is
they
like
have
about 20
jurisdiction, you know?
pages, and that's why you
Right,
might
it's
want
all-
to
It's all
shrink
about
down a little
jurisdiction.
bit.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's the
Right.
distance, and plus Texas is separate. I mean, it's different in a way because it's basically.
If Glenn, now see, he said the Republic of Texas will only let me, I have to have an address, correct?
Yeah.
But then I don't know if you heard him, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn,
You can order those plates from the same place I order them from.
But no, my question is this: because you're talking about insurance. So if you have those plates, technically you should have insurance from that state, no?
yeah, you need an address,
Right. Exactly.
which Glenn has an address, probably not where his body is all the time.
Right. Right.
And
Well-
therefore, it satisfies the desire of the insurance company to insure that car.
We'd have to have our own private address. I don't think Glenn would want to have our.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I'm saying his private address is not where his body is.
No, but I'm saying is I don't think he'd want us to allow him to use this unless we.
You could use the same address, you just have a different apartment number.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
I see.
get boxes there.
That's
They
true.
have boxes.
That's what I'm saying.
Called
So-
virtual mailing addresses.
right.
Yeah.
There's virtual and there's actual real, like, you know.
So once you get all that in place,
Right.
the public servant
Mm-hmm.
they're bound by their rules.
Right. That's
I'm
true.
not bound.
Exactly. You're right.
So once you get to that point, you begin to live a little freer.
Because there's so few people that have any understanding or want to do what you're talking about and constantly are doing and are ready to prepare a path to defend.
Glenn hasn't said the one thing he usually, Sam Adams, the Sam Adams quote,
Give me liberty or give me death.
no, the
Well,
one that
that's
has,
Patrick.
That's Patrick
Henry.
Henry, yeah.
the quote that talks about we desire neither your,
If you love liberty, or if
We're talking about Benjamin Franklin.
no, let him find it.
if you let's
The Sam Adams quote, I've got to get that down.
Does it have to do with security as opposed to
No, this
freedom?
not.
Okay.
I only get 5 minutes of freedom at city council twice a month.
Okay.
So I have to pick my,
Right.
I've quoted Jefferson,
Mm-hmm.
I've quoted Franklin,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to fit Sam Adams in.
Right.
But I'm educating them at the same time.
Here we
I'm
go.
not- Go ahead.
if you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen.
Wow.
They're choosing to be a slave.
Right. That's powerful.
Right. And I'm confident that there's many people in city council and that are listening who have posterity and don't know it. It's a waking up. It's a waking up.
Right. We've been asleep for like 160 years, right now.
That's why I grow the beard, partly,
Mm.
to show I've been asleep. One guy called me, saw
Really?
me on the street. He says, "Hey, Rumpelstiltskin." I said, hello.
There you go.
That's good.
Winkle.
Yeah, oh no, maybe he did say that. I'm sorry, Rip Van Winkle, he did say that. Forgive me, I got it wrong. You're correct.
I know what you meant.
Okay?
I think we all
That's
did.
the right one. But that's a great quote, and I'm about to use it. I've just been trying to get to fit it in. And then I read the Declaration of Independence into the record.
No, really?
Yeah. And pretty much every city council and county freeholder has an open mic night.
Has an open mic.
Open mic night.
Oh, mic night. Okay.
Open mic.
Right.
You
Which
know what's
means
fun?
that you can go in and speak.
They refuse. They're bound not to interrupt me.
Oh, I see.
It's so much fun, Glenn.
Oh, okay.
And next week on Thursday night, any member of the public can speak for 5 minutes.
All right. Good.
It's like a guy standing in the, with his hands tied behind the back, and you get to hit him any way you want.
There you go.
And it's an education.
Right. Well, I think that's valuable because now they get to find out what people are thinking. You know, not what they're being told they're thinking, but what they're actually thinking. You know?
Yes, and then last 2 weeks ago, I stated, I'm going to offer you 30 days to order the city solicitor to obtain a legal opinion from the state attorney general, whether or not the chief of police has the right to have me arrested when I attend my local church. And
Right
because they're not allowed to say anything when I'm talking,
Right.
at the end of the meeting, the president yelled the name of the city solicitor to come and talk to them.
Really?
She was trying to escape,
Right. Good.
and they ordered her to come over
Right on.
to talk to them. Now, I wasn't privy to what was said,
Right.
but the two things I demanded they do and gave them 30 days to do it, every municipal prosecutor and public defender must have an authorized oath of office because they passed resolutions appointing them to these positions of authority.
Right.
So those are the two things. Oath of offices for all and a legal opinion from the Attorney General, and I was ordering them as the
You
king.
get that WhatsApp
Right.
message.
With, I gave them all the written evidence so they can take it home to study.
Right. Good. That notice and demand we went through yesterday when we talked about asserting sovereignty. Adam, when we're going through the asserting sovereignty video presentation I did yesterday, that was the notice and demand.
No, that was Friday, I think.
Huh?
I think you guys did that Friday.
Okay, maybe it was
Asserting
Friday.
sovereignty.
Okay, yeah, it
Friday
was-
I worked,
maybe it was-
I missed.
Oh, okay.
So it's next weekend. I'm gonna miss Friday because I'm booked.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Well, and so the notice and demand, this is the notice and demand, and I guess you probably missed that part of it, but the notice and demand is basically where I accept your oath of office. Here's one that I did recently. Wait.
I filed one with heads of state, Greenwald, Ocean County, chief of police, Brick chief of police, Ocean County sheriff
Okay.
office regarding my right to travel, including all my cars, all registration VIN numbers for each and every.
Oh, really? You sent them all that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, and that's why.
No one responded.
Of course, they're not going to.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that you're far better off just playing tourist. Okay? I
Yeah.
mean, you're obviously
He's got the language right
You're
there, boy.
obviously from Poland,
Right. Yeah.
and so
Language. My language was correct.
I agree. But you have an accent, and it sounds
Accent.
like
No, I wasn't
Yeah.
talking. I sent
I understand.
3-4
But
pages.
that's why I think that you should get a Polish driver's license and drive a rental car. It looks like you're a tourist.
Yeah.
They'll leave you alone.
Right.
Serious.
I think so too. That's
It was funny because
I would do it.
that was 2 or 3 weeks ago when I got myself in trouble. I stated that through the course of evening and night I had 4 drinks. I wasn't asked to specify what sort of drinks I had. Could have been beers, could have been 2 beers and 2 ginger ale with ice,
Could have been milk.
could have been milk.
Right. Orange
So
juice.
I was asked to come. I was already standing in the back of the car, and I was very heavily limping because of my broken bone in the midfoot, and that was fresh then. So they asked me, okay, so we're gonna ask you to do a few things. One of them was tiptoeing 7
Right.
steps.
Yeah, the sobriety.
Sobriety test. And I said, look, I'm going to do my best, but I have broken bone in my midfoot,
Mhm.
and I'm in pain.
You
And I
could
did
tell
my
them-
best.
Yeah, you could tell them I can't do it. I'm unable to do it.
Then
because
they
of the
went
fact-
to Alphabet.
Yeah.
So I started talking Alphabet, and then, I wasn't drunk. I literally had 4 drinks across the night.
Some people would be drunk with 4 drinks, especially a woman.
And that was like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I would.
And so I said, I wasn't born here. I didn't go to school here.
English is not my first language.
I said that alphabet, I can probably do much better job in Polish. And I started going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M.
That's good.
It's funny because my Polish life is day 1 to age almost 21, and so that's nearly 21, but on maybe only 5 years of some little bit of conservative thinking, and then 28 years here,
Right.
and this is home.
Right.
Yeah, I would. I'd never tell them. Well, first of all, I don't drink. I haven't had a drink since like the 70s, so like 40 years. But even if I did, I'd never tell them that. I'd say I don't drink. Haven't had a drink since for 40 years. Even if I did drink, quite frankly.
Right.
Because if you tell them you drank anything, then they're going to want to,
See, with them,
I'll tell you, do you want a good book to read?
I try to be some sort of honest, because I'm telling you that it was minute after minute, one going and whispering to another's ear with my wallet open on their hood and all the metal exposed, and like they didn't know which way to go. Like am I pushing my luck? Am I not pushing my luck? Should I call this captain, or should I call this sergeant, or should I call this?
Yeah.
You were halfway there.
But
Because
because
you had them confused.
because of
Right.
my utility knife on my belt,
Yeah.
that was that.
Weapon. Yeah.
See, there are defences against that, and you gave them the defense.
Overweighting, where end up with.
Yeah, there are defences to having that knife. One of the defences is that it's used solely as a work knife.
Right.
The issue, though, is were you at work or on your way to work or on your way directly back from work
Yeah.
when they stopped you and
No.
talked to you? Because because at that point, then they can say, well, you weren't engaged in work, and it could be then classed as an offensive weapon.
Okay. So
But
what
there
was
isn't a defence. There isn't that is the
No.
defence that
That
it
is
is
true.
used as a work weapon.
I see.
And
Be-
most
be- be-
cops
be-
know that.
Because
Many times they'll
look
ignore
at my
it anyway,
hands.
but-
I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I have 4 layers of skin on my hands. Literally 4, if not 5, from moment to moment. I mean, this is not
No callus.
a brain surgeon
Yeah.
or the one who turns everything. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The liar.
Those are working man's hands. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
said I'm.
You do like carpentry?
I did say it.
Yeah. You do
I am a
like-
tradesman.
Right.
This is what I use constantly.
This is my work knife.
This is my work knife. This is
Right.
what I use for work.
Mhm.
He goes, well, that's a. He took it out. He goes, really? And it was a short blade, but continuous to a handle. Handmade Damascus steel,
Yeah.
sharp like hell.
Yeah, it is Damascus steel. You don't want to be touching that.
Damascus. Yeah.
But there were 3 more, like hunting knives on my back seat, and beautiful axe. And
Yeah. See, stuff like that coming at it, you have to swap skins a little bit.
And I said it. I just acquired it. I just got them.
Yeah. And they will say, yeah, sure.
We've heard that before.
We've heard that before.
Yeah. So you have to understand.
But God, honestly, day before it's when I
Yeah,
got
I know.
them.
And I'm not disputing that, but that's their
Right.
that's the way they think. You're just trying to give an excuse and a reasoning for it being there
Well, there were
when you got caught.
There were also 2 special forces knives, and
They're illegal.
well,
But not unlawful.
No, that's correct. Yeah,
Right. So.
yeah some of the special forces knives,
Yeah.
the ones with the handle.
oh no,
Oh, not one of those. Okay.
no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, because they're illegal.
Open grip
Most of them.
handle.
You were mentioning a book. Something about what book?
Yeah, it's by, there's a video, if you get time to watch it, Professor Dwayne, I can't remember his last name, he's a law professor.
Okay.
It's Professor Dwayne, and the title of the video is Don't Talk to Police.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah,
was
I've
going to
read
say
that.
that.
Yeah, now he's written a book,
Right.
actually he wrote 2 books, but the most recent one is You Are Presumed Innocent. That's the
Okay.
name of the book,
Mhm.
which you can find it online if you look. I have a PDF of it.
Mhm.
But if you want to know where you stand as far as police go, watch that video and read his book, because
Okay.
you will or should never talk to police again, ever.
Well, that's what I said earlier. If someone comes up
Huh?
and someone said, "No contract. I don't answer questions." What, in a nice way. You're not trying to be. And am I free to go?
But Glenn likes to
Don't
say,
ask.
I'll be
Don't
happy to give you that information if you answer a couple of my questions first. And that gets you to where you're entering
Okay.
your world of asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the circumstances of how a cop's going to approach you and why he's approached you. If you're in a vehicle or in a car, then he's presuming that you have a driver's
Yeah, for
license and he has the right to
all
ask you
these.
for it.
Regarding
So-
travel.
Then you have to
Right.
break that presumption,
Right.
Yeah.
which is why I go through my sequence
Right.
of questions before he even gets to the
Yeah, I
car
wouldn't send them that.
and
kind of
starts
stuff,
asking
actually.
for the license and registration.
In other words, you roll the window down basically in your.
case.
Yeah, and
In
lean
some
out.
cases, it didn't work
Yeah.
very well for me.
And then I
Right.
start the questions.
Mhm.
Because there's about, well, it depends, but there's about 5 questions I ask.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still the.
And hopefully at the end of that,
I don't remember where all
I
my
should just be able to drive away.
Right.
Green tabs.
And that's
for-
the end of the, that's the
You
end
know,
of
he's
the
not gonna say,
conversation.
this man's not drunk.
man that
We
went
don't-
out
we don't wanna
to
really, you know.
Murphy and Greenwald
Yeah, it
and
depends, some,
Does he want
Department
to?
of
Does he
Motor
have the
Vehicle,
adequate
right,
protection
right,
of his gloves to handle the porcupine
I would,
he's just caught?
Right.
And if the porcupine starts moving,
Right.
so you have to put him in a place where it's more risky for him to keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the payoff for him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to issue a ticket.
Right. It's easier to collect monies, basically. So. Right.
Many,
Road
I will
plan-
say many cops
Yeah.
do the job for the right reasons,
Yeah.
and they don't want to issue tickets. Not really.
Right.
Unless you deserve it. and
Unless
then
you deserve it, yeah. In which case, and I've gone through that myself. The majority, and I actually got told off. I got a good talking to by my sergeant and inspector because I wasn't issuing enough tickets.
Really?
I was going to ask you about that.
This was in the early days of tickets as well, actually, because before that it was summonses. You had to do everything through summons.
They weren't bringing enough revenue in, basically. They wanted to see more.
Yeah, well, it was. They did a time and motion study in my early service, and then they decided that they were going to streamline everything, and then that's when they brought in the fixed penalty notice tickets,
Right.
citation tickets, so that they brought everything into the ability for us to write a ticket and issue it, and they paid the fine.
Right.
But I didn't like that very much, and I didn't like giving out tickets to people. A few other cops were like that too. But we got talking to by the sergeant, and then the inspector, if you went beyond.
Well, they
still
weren't seeing the
didn't-
revenue coming in. That's what, you know, right?
Well, they were told that that's what needed
Criminal
to be
trial.
done.
Yeah.
So they were following
Trial by
orders from the law.
jury
Right.
Can be.
or trial by judge.
And
Can be.
I ended up getting off the streets in the end, which was fine by me because
So not every criminal case is tried
the
by
reason I
jury.
joined,
Can be.
the reasons for working,
Can be, it's not always.
You can
Weren't-
request trial by jury, otherwise
they
you get
weren't
trial by judge.
what I expected. Or what
A
I
lot
thought
of
was
times
going
the
to be.
jury-
the jury.
I learned the
In this
truth,
case, who
and
peaks?
I
Well, they
wanted to
do.
back away from
They
it.
do,
Right.
and a
Since
lot of
it's
times the
under-
I
jury.
had
Jury's
family
fine
at
then.
that point, so
Right.
They pick the jury.
Were you in
Yeah.
England at that time?
But if
Yeah,
I'm
it was
not
a
defendant,
Okay.
I pick the jury.
No, you don't get
Now,
picked
one
the jury
time-
at all. You might have
British
a,
police
you
didn't
might
carry
have
out
an
a-
opportunity.
But then
club,
I
right.
still call them jury. or
Well, they
I
do now. They have
Oh, I
patent-
agree.
But now
I
they
agree.
have, right, they
And
have
a
like,
lot of times they're idiots.
Some of them have pepper sprays, things like
You
that.
no, but don't they have
Really,
basically
You know,
assault
most of them
weapons
are
as they're
idiots.
almost, no?
No.
don't have a clue.
There are
Yeah,
tactical
I
aid
agree.
groups, tag groups as they're called,
Okay.
That's why you're
They
better
have
off.
Something doesn't matter.
weapons.
I agree.
They have-
So
That's
there
why
are
you're better off.
police
That's why I
calls
say
to
you're far better
situations.
off.
Okay, so the
getting a
average policeman is not
driver's
carrying
license
other than
and saying
a
and,
billy
and
club, basically.
having a rental car and
Okay.
The only
behaving
I
like
had
a
three
tourist.
things. I had my truncheon, which was about 14 inches long, wood stick,
Right.
my handcuffs, and my radio.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
I had four things because the
Right.
rest of it was my wits.
Oh, right, of course. It's important. Right?
I would prefer to
There's a
live
couple of times I was chased around cars with people
on
with
the land
swords.
I call
Really?
home.
Yeah.
I agree.
Swords.
I agree.
One was a
I
samurai
agree.
sword.
But
The other one was like
the reality
more of
is
a
that
decorative Turkish scimitar type sword.
Years
Were these
of
people from that
training.
area of the country,
Yeah.
of the
Around
world,
your
or were
action.
they, they carried something like that?
Created
No,
what
the
we have
Japanese
today.
guy, the
Yeah, I
Japanese
know.
sword,
I
the
know.
samurai sword was.
I know.
He was just
Bad
a
reality,
white guy.
that's zero.
Wow, but he was
Standard.
British.
Right.
He wasn't like he wasn't.
Yeah, he was British.
Okay.
I agree. You're
The
preaching
other
to the
one
choir.
with the Turkish
That's why I'm
scimitar
Yeah.
sword.
gonna
He
claim,
was from Arabic. He was from that
yeah,
area.
protected
I think it was more of a
status
decorative
under
sword than it
international
was
law
for an actual sword.
because they're
Right.
nothing but a
Well,
bunch of and the juries are
You know,
idiots.
at night,
The
Yeah, you
people
don't wanna
there
write.
really want to take the chance
clueless.
of being on the
They don't
receiving
have a
end of
clue
it.
about
Exactly.
what's
You don't know
going
how
on.
sharp it is.
Right, right.
You know,
Chances
you're
of
backing
you
away
getting
from
even
someone
So that's
one
pretty
person
tough.
on that
Yeah, that's
jury
pretty tough, and you really
that
don't have
starts asking some
you know,
serious
unless you
questions
know
about what's going
kung
on.
fu or something.
are
You know,
like
some type of a martial
all
Well,
art.
we get,
zero.
we got
All you
training
need
to some
is
extent,
one
but
person on that jury that's got some brains.
to get within a
And-
a
but the
sword
chances of
that
is pretty
are
difficult.
almost
Yeah.
zero.
Right.
The only thing you could
Does
do
it
is back
depend
away
then? You
because we
don't
didn't
get
have
to
anything
talk
that we
to
could
jury.
use to
Oh,
get
yeah.
within.
Oh, you
Right,
do
exactly.
in the
Until
trial.
somebody,
In
you
a
know,
trial, but
you ended up
not
being in front with a couple of other
in the
people, and
process of
somebody came from
selecting.
behind.
Right.
You get
right.
to,
Jump.
you'll
Yeah,
get an
triple jump.
opportunity
Exactly.
We
to
got hold of them
eliminate
and
some jurors
prevented
if
them,
you
and then
don't
everybody
think
jumps
that they're
in,
going
gets
to be
sword off, and
um,
gets the cuffs
neutral
on.
or unbiased, you know.
Yeah,
But
by
most
that
of them
time,
are
you've
so
been on the
clueless
radio and
that
you're
it
calling
doesn't
everybody
matter.
else.
Right.
You shout assistance,
You
and
know?
then everybody comes.
Most of them are so
See, 'cause I thought
clueless.
that was in the past, but I thought today,
Oh, even today, it's still
that they do have, you know, handguns and so on. But
they do. They're in a larger number now than
First
they
of
used
all,
to be.